Okay, let's keep the train rolling. You only have 4 problems to do on your own here. I only gave you 4 instead of the customary 8. So here's how we want to do it. So we got to simplify the expression. So what I have is I have 4 times x and x times y. And then I go over to this parentheses and I have 6 times x and x times y. Those are times. Now again, with these parentheses with the exponent outside, that means the 2 needs to be fed to everything in here. So 2 to 2 on the y, 2 to 3 on the x, and the 4 would need a 1 so I can feed. Remember, I can't distribute an exponent to a base, so I need to take 2 times 1. Okay? All right, then over in this parentheses, we have a 3 we need to feed to everything. So that's a 1, so 3 to 1. That's a 1. 3 fed to 1, and that's a 1. 3 fed to 1. Now, you want to set this up smartly, okay, if that's even a word, okay. Your big base numbers are 4 and 6. You want to put 4 times 6. Use the multiplication operator. And then you look for your what are your variables? Your variables are x and y, but we're just going to put those down once. So times x times y. So I go find my 4. It's to the first power, but this 2 is being distributed to it. So 2 times 1 is 2, so that 4 is going to be to the second. Now we go find our 6, and it's to the first power, but that 3 is being distributed to the 1, so 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, now there are 2 different x's, so let's look at the first x factor. It's to the third power, but the 2 is being distributed to 3, so 2 times 3 is 6. And then we're multiplying by another x, so I put plus, because you're multiplying. When x times an x means you're going to plus the exponents. That's to the first, but again, a 3 is being distributed, so 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, now the y's, so our first y here is to the third, but there's a 2 being distributed to the 2. It's to the second, sorry. 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we're multiplying by another y, which means we add the powers. And 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so that's the hard work. So now we got to figure out what 4 to the second and 6 to the third are, because those are not variables. So 4 to the second means I have 2 4's cloned and multiplied, and that's 16. And then the 6 to the third means we have 3 6's cloned and multiply those, and that's 216. Okay? So this, we replace 4 to the second with 16. We replace 6 to the third with 216. And then we have x. We can't replace x, but 6 plus 3 is 9. X to the 9th power. And then y, 4 plus 3 is 7. So that's going to be 4 to the 7th power. And then the last thing we need to do is these 2 numbers here, those need to be multiplied. Okay, so 16 times 216. Obviously, you're going to need a calculator to do that. This calculator doesn't appear to be working, so I need to get another one. Okay, I got 3,456. You're going to get pretty big numbers there with that, because you're going to those numbers, and that's your answer. Okay, remember to multiply those. Okay, my next problem. Again, I got this 2 outside, so x needs a 1, so I can distribute 2 to 1, and 5 needs a 1, so I can distribute 2 to 1. Goes 5 times x. And over here we got 7 times x. So 2 gets distributed to 3, and then the 7 needs a 1, so I can distribute the 2 to the 1. Now you want to put your big base numbers first. 5 times 7. So 5 times 7. And then the only variable I have is x, but again, we just put that down once. Okay, so 5, it's to the 1, but 2 times 1 is 2. And then 7's to the 1, but 1 times 2 is 2. And the x's, now there's 2 x's, so I have a 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus whatever's on this other x, because multiplication with exponents mean we add the exponents. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so 5 to the second, that means 5 times 2 5's cloned. and multiplied, and that's 25. And then 7 to the second would be 2 7s clone, and that gives me a 49 product. So I replace 5 to the second with 25. I replace 7 to the second with 49, and we can't replace x because we don't know what number x is. We're not going to know. And then 2 plus 6 is 8. Now again, we want to multiply the 25 and 49 together, okay? To simplify as much as we can. 25 times 49 is 1,225. That's the answer. 1,225 times x to the 8th power. Okay, next problem. Between 5 and x is multiplication, 8 and x is multiplication, x third and y is multiplication. Okay, so we distribute the 2 to the 3. And the 5 would be to the 1, so I can distribute 2 to 1. Don't distribute 2 to 5. Y is to the 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 3, and then the 8's to the 1, so 2 to 1. Okay, so my big base numbers are 5 and 8 this time. So 5 times 8, and then your variables are x, but just put it down once, even though there's 2, and then a y. Okay, so 5, 1, but 1 is distributed to 2, so that's 2. And then 8's to 1, 1 distributed to 2, that's 2. And then x, now there's 2 x's here. Remember that being multiplied, so we're going to have to add. And then 3 times 2 is 6. And then here 3 times 2 is going to be also 6. Okay, and then the y, this is the only y I have, so 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so 5 to the second, that needs to be replaced. 2 factors of 5 multiplied, and that's 25. And then the 8 to the second would be 2 factors of 8 multiplied, and that's 64. So I replace this with 25, and 8 to the second was 64. Don't replace x, but 6 plus 6 is 12. And the y is to the second. Okay, we need to find the product by multiplying 24/5 by 64. Okay, 1,600. Okay, next problem. 7 and x, that's a times operation. X second, y to the third's a times. 2 and x is a times operation. X to the third, y to the second times. Okay, now I distribute the 2 to the 3, the 2 to the 2. And the 7 would be to the 1, and I distribute 2 to 1, not 2 to 7. Don't put 14 down. 2 to 2, 2 to 3, and the 2's to the 1, which means I have 2 to 1. So I have 7 and 2. So I have 7 times 2 from here and here. And then I've got my x. There's 2 of them, so we're going to have a plus because you're multiplying them. And then times y. There's going to be a plus there because there's 2 y's. Okay, so 7, 1, but 1 and 2, 2, 2, 1 times 2 is 2. Then x, I've got 2 of them, so I take 2 times 2, which is 4, plus whatever the other x is, 3 times 2 is 6. And then y, we're going to have 3 times 2, which is 6. And then another y, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so 7 to the second needs to be replaced. So 7 times 7 is 49, and 2 to the second is replaced. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so this is replaced with 49, and 2 to the second is replaced with 4. And then x can't be replaced, but I know that 4 plus 6 is 10th, so it's to the 10th power. Then y, 6 plus 4 is 10 to the 10th power. Okay, and then figure out that product. So 49 times 4. 196. 196 times x to the second times y to the 10th, times x to the 10th times y to the 10th is the answer. Okay, I've got 5x, that means 5 times x, x second times y to the third, 4 times x, and x times y. Now distribute that 2 exponent to 3 on the y, to 2 on the x, and then to 1 on the 5. 2 to the 2, 2 to the 3, and that's to the 1, so I distribute the 2 to the 1. Okay, so I got 5 and 4, and those are your base numbers. And now my variables, I have x, just put that down once, and y. Okay, so for 5, I have 1, but 1 times 2, that's 2. 4, I have a 1, but the 2 is being distributed to 1, so that's 2. Okay, now the x's, we have 2 of them. Okay, so there's going to be a plus going up here. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, because you're multiplying. That's why. The multiplication operation means we add the exponents. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, then with y, I got 2 to the third, which is 6. Or, no, sorry, 2 times 3, which is 6, and then 2 times 2, which is 4, so plus 4. Okay, so these two need to be replaced. So 2 5s multiplied gives you 25, and 2 4s multiplied gives you 16. Okay, so this is replaced with 25, and the 4 to the second is replaced with 16, x, and then 4 plus 6 is 10. And 6 plus 4 is 10. So 25 times 16 is 400. 400 times x to the 10th times y to the 10th. Okay, 2 and x to the third would be times. X third and y to the second would be times. 6 and x would be times. X and y would be times. Okay, now we distribute the 3 to the 2, the 3 to the 3, and then on the 2, we put a 1 and 3 to the 1. Okay, 2 gets distributed to 3, 2 gets distributed to 2, and then 6 is a 1, 2 gets distributed to 1. So our bases are 2 and 6, and then my variables are x and y. Okay, so on 2, 3 times 1 is 3, 6, 2 times 1 is 2. And I don't worry about anything else because that's the only big 2 I have, and that's the only big 6 I have. Then x, there's 2 of them, so I have a 3, but it has to be multiplied by 3, so that's 9 plus, because there's another x, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and then y, you got 2 times 3, that's 6, plus 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 to the third, that means 3 2's multiplied. You multiply, and that's what an exponent does, and that's 8. So we'll be replacing that with 8. 6 to the second, that would be 2 6's. That's 36. Okay, so replace the 2 to the third with 8. 6 to the second needs to be replaced with 36. Times x, can't replace x. 9 times 3 is 13. And then y, can't replace y, so 6 plus 6 is 12. And then we need to find the product of 8 and 36. 8 times 36. Remember, that's a times operator. So that's 288, because those aren't exponents. We just times those together. 288 times x to the 13th times y to the 12th. Okay, 9 and x would be times. X second and y would be times. And then 5 and x would be times. X and y would be times. Okay, so the not 2 to 3, 2 to 2. And 9's to the 1, so 2 to 1. 2 to 3, 2 to 2, and 5's to the 1, so that'd be 2 to 1. So my number factors are 9 and 5, so 9 times 5. And don't say it's 45. No, because those have power exponents on them. Okay, and then I've got x and y. Again, don't write variables down more than once. So 9, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2 with 5. And then for x's, I have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 2 times 2 is 4 again. Now on y, we got 2 times 3, which is 6. 2 times 3, which is 6. So 6 plus 6. Okay, those two need to be replaced. So 9, 2 9's multiplied is 81. And then 2 5's multiplied is 25. So this becomes 81, and the other one becomes 25. And then we can't replace x, but 4 plus 4 is 8. We can't replace y, 6 plus 6 is 12. Now we need to multiply those, 81 times 25. A lot of people add these together. No, the operation's multiplication, and those aren't exponents. So 2025. Times x to the 8 times y to the 12. Okay, and then my last problem, 2 and x would be times, x third and y would be times, 5 and x is times, x and y is times. Distribute the 4 to 2, 4 to 3, and then put a 1 on the 2, so you have an exponent there to distribute the 4 to. 2 to 2, 2 to 3, and then the 5's to the 1, so I distribute 2 to 1. Okay, so 2 and 5 are my big base numbers, and then x and y. So 4 times 1's 4, 2 times 1's 2. X's, there's 2 different ones, so I got to take 3 times 4, that's 12, plus 2 times 3 is 8 is 6. And then y, 4 times 2 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 2 to the 4th, that would be 4 2's multiplied together, and that gives you a product of 16. 5 to the 2nd power, 2 5's, and that gives me a product of 25. So we replace the 2 to the 4th and the 5 to the 2nd with 16 and 25. X, 12 plus 6 is 18. Y, 8 plus 4 is 12. And then we find that product, calculate that product. 16 times 25 is 400. Okay, that's what I have to say on that. I hope it's been informative, and that's what you do. Now, next week, we're going to work on division with this kind of stuff.